Hey guys, welcome Muskie Road Rules Podcast, episode number 253. Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in every week. We really like having you on here and hearing what kind of mindless crap we can talk about. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by Rick Lax, Lax Reproductions. Is it real or is it lax? Guys, if you're looking for that fish of a lifetime, you finally get it. You get good pictures, you take good measurements, and you want to get a nice reproduction, make sure you give Rick Lax a call. It's laxreproductions.com, and he's got a ton of different styles of mounts, whether you want it on driftwood, rock, just a plain mount. He's got all kinds of stuff. He's got the wet look, the dry look. There's a lot of cool stuff that he's got there. And I myself have several of his mounts, and so does Tony Grant down at the Mountain Muskie Lodge. And a lot of places you're going to be able to see them. Not only muskie, but he can do walleye, smallmouth, trout, a lot of different things. Salmon. He's got molds for all type of fish. So check him out at laxreproductions.com. Also, guys, shoot us a text on the Lungin Lures text line at 606-776-6570. Lungin Lures makes the 22 short, 22 long, all the great crankbaits, as well as the chubby series of baits and some of the alley cat lures. Not only that, they have a lot of spinner baits, whether it be the Nutbusters, the DC-10, DC-9s, and the original Lungin tail. So check those out at lunginlures.com and text us at 606-776-6570. Guys, tonight we have a really special guest and one that's not so special. Ryan McMahon is the not so special. Say hi, Ryan.
Hello. Yeah, sorry to disappoint everybody.
But, Ryan, are you excited for our other guest? This guy might be able to teach you something.
I am. This is the first time I've done, your podcast and had a notebook next to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A number 2 pencil and everything. I like it. We've got Tony Grant talking about electronics. No, you do not want to do that. Whatever he says, do the opposite. Tony's problem with electronics is like how you used to fix the Atari tapes. Or not the Atari, but the old Nintendo games. Pull them out, blow on the back of them, and stick them back in there. That's the fix. I've got Cody Greenwell from down in Louisville, Kentucky, Greenwell Electronics, who's going to talk some about our electronics, some of the problems, issues, troubleshootings we might have, and he's going to try to troubleshoot some stuff for me because I'm always having problems with this stuff. So, Cody, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. Now, for guys to know, Cody, what is it exactly you do? I know you this isn't your full-time gig, but you do boat rigging and electronic and teach people how to use their stuff, right?
Yeah, I do mainly on-the-water training. Guys get units all the time. They think they can figure them out, run them for a few days, a few weeks, a few years, and end up breaking down and calling me. But no, I do, setup advice. People getting new boats, wanting advice on how to rig them, what units, what transducers, how to install them, where to install them. On the water training as far as learning where things are positioned, how far behind the boat, how far out to the side, set up in your boat on the water, trying to get everything tuned in, dialed in the best we can, transducer angles, settings, etc. Just kind of trying to get everything fine-tuned and dialed in.
Yeah. Ryan, is that what you did when you bought yours?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
Well-oiled machine.
I know better than that. So to be honest, with some other smaller boats and, back in the day with electronics, I mount stuff and hook stuff up myself and everything. And, pretty much when we started getting into the mega imaging and stuff like that, I'd always kind of scoff at like a boat rigger. What are you just screwing the transducer into the boat and and hooking stuff up, running to the battery? Like, what's so hard about that? But as stuff has gotten nicer and I've gotten dumber over the years, I'm definitely willing to have an expert come and hook stuff up on my boat, because It's paid off for me. Well, it doesn't sound like I'm having as many problems as you are, but
yeah, but I do it myself because I'm smart.
Plug.
Yeah,
that's a really good plug for me, man. I'm gonna have to take you everywhere with me. You're like free advertising.
What? All right, so Cody, we were talking before we started recording here. I've got an issue. I've got a Gen 4 Helix, which I think in the muskie world, I don't know, Ryan. I mean, especially here in Minnesota, do you think Humminbird is probably the leader in what's out there right now?
I feel like it is. I mean, most guys I talk to, I feel like a while back it really started with just the Lake Master mapping was far superior to anything else. I think 1 foot contours on pretty much every lake in Minnesota was like the reason I switched years ago from Lowrance, and then really the mega site imaging has just gotten better and better, and it's just really easy to use. I'm very simple when it comes to electronics. I'm probably the most low tech muskie fisherman I know, and the Humminbird stuff just seems to be intuitive. I can kind of flip through the screens real easy and find stuff, and I do a lot less head scratching. So, yeah.
Well, I definitely get that. Cody, you rig a lot of bass stuff. Of course, you're in Kentucky there down in Louisville, and the so you're dealing with quite a few bass fishermen. What are you seeing? Are you seeing out of the, let's say, the big three now, which would be Garmin, Lowrance, and Humminbird? What are you seeing?
I think it comes less is about style and type of fishing and more about people's mentality. Really, the way that you approach fishing and think about fishing as well as electronics really will tell me a lot about what you need to run. Humminbird versus Lowrance is kind of like iPhone versus Android.
Androids are the worst. You can't group text with them, especially if you have a...
Sure you can. You can group text.
Not if you have an iPhone. If everyone has an iPhone, you get that stupid green box from the Samsung people. Sorry.
That's why you run a Humminbird and you have an iPhone, and I have an Android and I run Lowrance. See, perfect analogy.
That is just it's insulting.
Settle down, Greg.
Well, have you ever been in a group text with an Android guy and you just get green all the time, or it won't go through? Anyway.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I have.
It works just fine.
I'm kidding.
I got both. I'm just giving you crap. I got my work phone's an iPhone.
You got like a burner phone?
He's got a burner. Yeah, right. That's what he does his deals on.
Perfect. Yeah, I like it.
A lot of, I mean, some of y'all know, a lot of guys don't. My main gig's with Ford Motor Company. I work for Ford. I manage the integration of the Think multimedia system, both at KTP and LAP plants we got here in Louisville. So they provide us iPhones. I use it as little as possible.
Oh my God, it's insulting. What? All right, Cody. So what would you say if new guy getting into fishing? What do you think is the easiest system for someone that's kind of new to it to adapt to?
Currently, today, right now, you're going to go buy a unit. I would say it doesn't matter, especially if you're starting fresh. Like clean slate, no background, not coming from Humminbird or Lowrance or Garmin, or just clean slate. I don't think it matters. You can learn equally as fast on any of the units, and every company is making a quality unit that is very capable right now. Each one excels in specific areas, but all of them do everything well enough that I wouldn't say, no, just stay away from this and you definitely need to go this direction. Everybody's making really good stuff right now, and the usability is there, as well as kind of the more advanced, get down into it and really tweak settings. The ability to do that is there with all the big three right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't sway anybody one way or another. Like I said, it's really going to come down to personality and what you're doing. Humminbird's got 360. 360 is killer. It's so great. Mega 360, fantastic. You want to talk on the live imaging side? I think it's a little behind the other two. Garmin is fantastic with live scope. Active Target's good. Live scope, LV34 versus Active Target 2. It's hard to pick between the two. So, like I said, they all have their things going for them. And with the HDS Pros now having the higher frequency band, you're going to get a really crisp image out of all of them. And most of them, you can dial them back pretty good to get pretty good range. But if you're really searching for farther range and looking for structure on bigger water, I still tend to kind of lean guys towards Lowrance. If you're looking for a lot tighter band, you want to scan, 40 feet, 50 feet, really get high definition, great detail. Garmin, Humminbird both do that fantastic. They'll both reach out there as well. Probably not as good as Lowrance. And, Lowrance gives you a really good image, plenty detailed enough to find fish or any kind of structure, but you might get a little bit prettier picture with Humminbird Mega or one of the UHD Garmin. So, like I said, it's kind of a wash. They all have great things.
Sure. So what about, you're talking that 360 is nice. I've actually been looking at maybe getting that. Could a guy troll with the 360 and it keep up with you?
Well, yes, but I wouldn't. The image is going to be sliding back towards you as well as panning sideways. So what you're going to get is just a streaked image. Nothing's going to look the way you expect it to look or the way you want it to look. Mm-hmm. You're way better off with live sonar if you're moving, if you're trolling.
So is the 360 is the optimal? I mean, is like spot lock the optimal speed, or like can you go?
Yes.
0.7, 0.5. I mean,
optimal speed is spot lock, buddy.
Okay.
It really is. Now, I'm not saying you can't use it moving. I use it moving down banks and stuff. It works fine, but to get your best picture, you're talking spot locked. Where it really excels is, imagine yourself, you're on a big flat and there's isolated grass piles or isolated stumps spread out across this flat. And you know where there are. You side imaged across it. You've marked your waypoints. You know where the stumps and grass clumps and stuff are. And you're just kind of bumping your way along this flat. You're going to fish this little pad of grass. And then you're going to bump along and you're going to fish this other plot of grass. So you're kind of setting still and making a few casts and then moving and then kind of setting still and making a few casts. 360 really excels at that. I mean, you can pinpoint the grass. You can see kind of like, openings in the grass. If it's kind of horseshoe shaped or totally round, you can find little nooks in the grass and pockets, areas, maybe you can cast 5 foot further in this area of the grass and really get it tucked back up in there. Things you can't see with the naked eye. That's where it really excels.
So does it sort of have like a scrolling speed, like just regular side imaging would have? Can you adjust the scrolling speed, or is it kind of where it refreshes like a 360?
It doesn't scroll. It spins in a circle.
Yeah, right.
But yes, you can change the speed.
Okay, sure.
Well, what I was told, again, from a friend that's had it now for 2 years, he really likes it. He thinks that it definitely helps him catch fish because he's able to see a weed point up ahead of him before he gets there. Like if the weed edge is going straight and he's going down the weed edge and all of a sudden he goes, well, shit, that thing, all of a sudden there's a point that comes out there. He can make a cast up towards it before he gets there and not cut the point too sharp.
Yeah, the alternative to that for Lowrance guys, so we're not leaving you guys hanging thinking, oh man, I got to get a Humminbird with 360. The alternative to that is Active Target 2 now. You can actually link the ping speeds and run 2 Active Target transducers. So you can run one in scout mode and one in forward mode at the same time. So you're getting that wide angle view. You can see kind of how that grass line lays out ahead of you. and also still get your forward facing at the same time. So you're seeing the water column. You can see the bait coming back to you and see how the fish are positioned in the water column. So there's way around it with all the different technologies. It's just, if you want the best of everything, you're going to have 48 different units on your boat, and it's going to confuse everybody, but you'll have the best of everything.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, like I said, I've had guys that tell me that they love 360 and some, so I don't know. It's something I've thought about doing. My graph every once in a while, about 4 times a year, thinks I have a 360 transducer and just quits working. And I have to go in there and find the forget 360 button and click that, because mine just automatically goes to a 360 and it can't find the transducer and it doesn't work, period.
Right.
So I'm assuming that that's an update, which updates scare the living bejesus out of me.
You'll be all right. Just
every graph I've ever updated has almost melted down. What am I doing wrong?
Make sure you've got good voltage. Connect it to a power supply. You can do it in your house if you set up a converter. I update units inside all the time, just because I do so many units for people and everything. But if it's in your boat, make sure that you have good power. Your batteries aren't low. Plug it in. If you got an onboard charger, you're at home, you want to do it, plug it in. Good power and download. Make sure your file download's good. If you have any question about corruption, re-download it, and then extract it onto a good quality SD card, not a cheap SD card. And using a micro SD card with a converter to a full size in units that take full size cards is a bad idea. Some of their connections can get intermittent at times. I've seen that cause issues, and I had brick units before. So use the size card for your unit. If your unit takes full-size SD cards, use a full-size SD card, not a micro with an adapter. If your unit takes a micro, put the micro in it. But just make sure it's a good quality SD card. And you got good power, and it should go seamless.
So something that I've ran into is, like, I'm a Mac user, like a Mac laptop. And
you would be.
Yes, exactly. I have an iPhone.
We assume with the iPhone
I
thing.
have a Mac. I have a Humminbird. It is great, except I can't do an update on a Mac. Mine won't work.
You can, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Is it super hard to do? I mean, that's all you have to tell me.
Yeah.
I feel like Greg is just soliciting any tech help he can get tonight.
Oh, I am. Are you kidding me? You just wait till we get into the GPS version of this. I got some
You're
questions.
way better off doing it with Windows.
Why is that?
Because the extraction is on a Mac. It's a different file system. So you're talking about a Mac has a totally different file system than Windows. Windows is typically in TFS. When you do your extraction, the way the extraction happens, it's not as reliable, and you kind of got to jump through hoops.
Yeah. Well, I've had issues, and I did take it to somebody that had a piece, a Windows.
Yeah, Windows.
And it worked. Yeah. It worked fine. So I was just wondering if that's like a common thing, or if I just had a bad computer or whatever.
No, you can do it with Mac. It's just I strongly recommend somebody doing it with a Windows computer, or like you said, let somebody else do it for you.
That's my plan always, because I keep trying to. Because I think I've got an update issue right now. One being it tries to think I have a 360 some days.
The Humminbird is worse about it than others. Like with Lowrance, it doesn't actually use an executable to do the extraction and putting it on the SD card and everything to update the unit. Whereas like Humminbird, if you want to connect your unit to a USB port on your computer and do like a direct push of the software, which is one of the more reliable ways of doing it without an SD card, it requires an EXE, which is an executable for Windows. It's very Windows specific. Unless you're running a virtual machine or, some sort of emulator, you're not going to be able to do it with a Mac, period. So.
All right, Ryan, I want you to repeat that back to me.
All the things about the stuff, you mean? I'm still writing here.
How do you spell?
It just sounds like you're using all the wrong equipment, Greg.
It just sounds like I need to start over and just go to Cabela's and just hand them my credit card and go. I want it.
No, you need to go. You need to get a Windows machine. Get rid of that Mac.
I need a Windows machine. Yeah, exactly. You know what? I used to use Windows when I was younger. Everybody grew up on that. I couldn't. I just. Literally, I don't even. I could when I turn a Windows laptop on, I just look at it and just kind of scratch the screen with my finger because I don't know what to do because it's all super confusing. That's after I've used Mac for so long. Mac is just so easy, and Windows makes my head hurt.
Yeah, Windows makes my head hurt too, but I run Linux on everything, so. When I get in front of my work computer, which is Windows, it's like, relearning the wheel. Oh,
yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I got a question here, Cody. We have, I probably a month ago or 3 weeks ago, I was talking to you. I was having horrible battery issues, and I don't like the thought of going lithium. I just don't trust it yet. I bought a lithium. It lasted 4 months and took a crap. It's very expensive. It is, they say...
Question about your lithium before we go any further. Did you get a heated lithium battery?
No, they didn't even have heated lithiums when...
yeah.
And that's the problem is that...
You're trying to charge a lithium in Canada...
Yeah, you can't. You can't
or
do
this
it.
weekend in Minnesota.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
We're getting our first snow tomorrow, Cody. Just by the way,
yeah, 32 degrees and under. Actually, anywhere close to 32 degrees, charging a lithium is going to kill it if it's not a heated lithium.
And see, that's the thing. That's what annoys me is the fact that, why didn't they tell anybody this up until like last year?
So. Here's what this has been a big topic in my boat too. So it sounds like, okay, you need to get the heated charger or whatever. To me, when I sort through all the information, and we're going to let Cody talk here for a while because he's going to be able to clarify all that stuff, right? But
I want you to explain this.
Well, to me, at the end of the day, it sounds like the only benefit I see is the weight saved on the batteries because people are like,
there's more benefit.
They're like, I can run them for 5 days straight. And I'm like, great. There's nowhere I fish where I can't charge. And for peace of mind alone, I want to charge my batteries every night. I want to charge my cranking battery every night.
I would freak out if my batteries weren't on charge.
Right. Yeah, I would not be able to sleep at night. I just got done with a 6-year run, and these batteries were actually my deep cycles. They were Marine Intimidator AGMs. I had them for 6 years. The previous owner of the boat said, I can't remember buying those batteries. I think they were in there the whole time he had them, which was like 2 or 3 years. And they were hooked up to, it's like $150, $200 Minn Kota. It's an extra alternator for the deep cycles. And I think that's what helps my batteries because they never get run down.
Them up. Right. Especially if you do a lot of trolling and stuff like that. It just helps keep them up during the day.
I don't troll a lot. I'm just really lazy, and I putt from spot to spot. I do a lot of idling.
He has bird watching with his trip. They do a lot of species ID.
Same idea. Trolling, side imaging, putting around. If you have a charger that charges on the fly, even your trolling motor batteries and stuff, something that's going to divert power once your cranking battery's full and divert it to a trolling motor battery is even better. Just keeping them batteries topped off. With your lead acids or AGMs, as the day goes, your voltage starts dropping. As your voltage starts dropping, your amperage goes up because the unit's going to pull whatever power it's going to pull regardless. So that wattage isn't going to change. So as your voltage drops, the amperage that it's pulling is going to increase. As amperage increases, heat increases, yada, yada, yada. The lower they get, the faster they die. So the higher you can keep that voltage, the better the battery condition is going to be, the better the units are going to run, everything's going to work better. That's the ticket to lithium, though, is they have a battery management system built into them. So when you get a lithium box, like a lithium, quote, battery, inside of that is a battery management system. It won't let it charge too much and exceed the voltage. It'll cap it at a specific voltage, and it won't let it discharge too much. It'll cap it at a specific voltage. So as the battery's discharging, that battery management system keeps the voltage up by pulling more amps from the cells themselves instead of dropping the voltage. So it's going to produce the same wattage to your unit at the same voltage from the battery itself. So instead of starting the day at 13.4 and ending the day at 11.5, you're going to start the day at 13.4 and end the day at 13.4. Or, whatever your max voltage is for that specific battery that you're running. That's the ticket to lithiums. It keeps your signal cleaner, it keeps your voltage higher, and for that, you get a better quality image on your side imaging, on your live imaging, on your 360, whatever you're running. You will get a better image out of that system.
So is that, for the dumb guy, the average guy like me, are you going to see this in the overall life better? Are you going to recapture that extra money you're spending on these things?
To be determined.
I say no.
Right now, I think like the bar stool argument for this right now is it's like, yeah, like all these guys are getting on social media, they're getting on TV, and they're promoting these things. And it's like, yeah, but these are guys that use these boats for like 1 year at a time, and then
they're
like
getting them for free.
Yeah, they're getting them for free. They're moving on. It's like, I want to buy, I want to know if I make the extra investment, am I going to get 8 years out of this thing, or am I going to be getting a new big lithium bank in, 4 years or whatever? Because like I say, I charge at the end of the day every day, like my boat's plugged in, and I'm always ready to rock the next day. And
I'll tell you the big thing that concerns me that I tell everybody. Buy one of the major lithium manufacturer brands batteries when you buy it. Because if you buy one of these smaller companies, even though they say, oh, it's a 10-year warranty or whatever, well, they might not be around in 10 years. So then what are you going to do?
So who are the big, is there like a big three or a Mount Rushmore of lithium?
Not really. It's such a come and go right now. Everybody's kind of developing on the fly. There's a lot of new stuff hitting the market every year. So, one might get ahead 1 year and then the next company's coming out with something really good. I don't have enough mileage with clients' boats yet to say, man, this is the way to go. This is the one, If you want to talk AGMs, I can say by far the North Star AGMs excel. They hold up longer. They last longer. Throughout the day, they do better. Throughout the lifespan of the battery, they do better. They have a higher ampere-hour capacity than most any other batteries. But they're heavy. They're 78 pounds a piece. But if you don't mind the weight, they're in it for the long haul. They're fantastic batteries.
Well, that battery you told me to get, that you said if I couldn't get that North Star, what was the other? Odyssey?
The Odyssey Extreme, yeah.
Where do they sell those North Stars? I've never heard of North Star.
North Star is essentially the Odyssey Extreme and North Star are basically the same thing. There's kind of a long story to it. I don't know all the details, but it was like, I think two brothers, and they split off.
Cain and Abel.
One of them,
Jesus.
one of them become Odyssey, and one of them become North Star, and then here recently they've kind of re-merged back into the same company, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's
made up.
through a lot of changes, but yeah, exactly. Anyway it goes, they're good batteries. They're solid batteries.
Well, I will say
the Odyssey Extreme, though, if you're going to get an Odyssey, go with that. Or the North Star.
Well, Ryan, they sell those Odyssey Extremes at L&M Fleet right here in DL. And I literally, a because I was running a lead acid. At first, I bought a lithium. I bought a 60 amp hour lithium. I was like, okay, I'm with it. I'm with the time. I talked to somebody.
On the leading edge.
I read stuff. I had stuff read to me, and everything was good. And then I had it for like 4 months, and I'm like, well, this isn't bad. I was getting like maybe 11 hours out of it, and that was running a HDS 12 Gen 4, an HDS 10 Gen 3, and a Panoptix unit, Garmin. And I was getting about 11 hours out of that particular.
And are you turning your motor over on that thing too?
No. This is a specific house. Yes. Specific house electronic battery, and everything was going great, and then it got cold, and then everything go really bad, and it was So then I just hooked everything up to my starting battery and just never turned the motor off. And
I remember you telling me that.
Yes. That's why I have 2,600 hours on my motor at no mile an hour.
So since you switched from the battery that you were running after the lithium, that you were having issues not getting enough runtime out of, since you switched to the Odyssey, how much has your runtime improved?
I mean, it's done great. I mean, normally with the lead acid, I couldn't get through a day. I couldn't get through 9 hours with it.
Right.
Now I'm getting I don't know how long it would run because I charge it every night. But let's say in the morning when I turn the boat on, let's say days are shorter right now. So let's say 9 o'clock, start the motor, or I turn the graph on. It's at 12.5, 12.6. Does that sound about right, Cody?
Depending on what wiring you got ran, yeah. I'd like to see it higher, but that's probably all right.
What wiring? What are you talking about?
Voltage drop just over the length of the wire running to the unit.
I've got good wire. I got this white marine grade
10 copper.
Yes.
10 gauge or
I don't know. It's the size of a hotel ink pen.
The copper stuff. Yeah. So
Ryan,
you're fine with that. You probably could get a little less voltage drop and have a little bit higher voltage at your units than that starting the day. It'd be interesting to see, just put a multimeter on that battery and see what the voltage is right at the battery lugs, and then see what your units are showing, and then figure out the difference in that too. So like I try to get everything down to 2%. Every system that I install, I want to see 2% voltage drop. So if you're dropping more than 2% of the voltage that you see at that battery to your unit, you need to upsize your wire.
Okay, that's a good question.
Why do I feel like inside Cody's shaking his head going, Greg, we talked about this.
No, I did. Hold on 1 second. You guys talk amongst yourself. I got some right here. Talk.
Is he checking?
We go round and round.
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you it's hard being Greg's electronics
I'm picking it up.
guy.
I'm looking at it. It's white, and it says Cobra wire cable boat 10 AUG-2.
10 AUG?
Yes.
How many units you got? Right? Do you have that fed to each unit, or do you have all the units run off that one feed?
I have all the units run off that feed into a. I only have 2 units. Well, actually 3 if you count the black box.
Definitely count the black box.
Everybody
you need that
should.
wire run to the. You need that unit ran, or I'm sorry, that wire ran directly to your black box by itself. Then another lead for your bow and another lead for your console. You need.
Well, I don't have a bow or console. I'm in the back of the boat. They're right there. I'm using 6 feet of wire.
Oh, well, that's a whole lot better. You could probably get away with running one of those to your black box and then splitting off of that for each of your units. Run another one for each of your units. So running 2 of them if you're only running 6 foot.
So Okay, so you're saying one needs to go directly towards that stupid black box.
I would. Yeah, 10 gauge, man. 10 gauge is really the minimum to run to that black box. If you're going 6 feet, you could get away with 12 gauge going to that black box, but I like to see 10 gauge going to that black box by itself.
So now when you're saying this, okay, when you're saying this ran directly to the wires that are coming out of that black box.
Well, not necessarily. Just that feed needs to go there. If you want to run that wire up to a fuse panel or a breaker panel,
that's what I've got.
And then come directly off that. Yeah, that's fine. But don't split off from one feed to all your units. So you would come into the fuse panel with the 10 gauge and then out of that same fuse to your black box. And then come into that panel with the 10 gauge. And then from there, you could go to one unit and then to the other unit if you really wanted to. You know, if you're only running 6 feet of wire, it ain't going to cost you anymore. I'd run 3 10 gauge feeds and run to each one of them.
So I need a bigger fuse box? How big a fuse box do I need?
So it depends on how you're setting up your fuse box. I mean, you can get a fuse box that is an in-out. So you feed the wire in the left, and then the unit come out the right. Wire in the left, unit out the right. And the fuse just splits in between that circuit. Or you can get a fuse box where you land your hot at one spot on it, and then you land your negative at the other spot on it, and then every single fuse is run off the same feed. I don't want to see that. I don't like that. That's asking for interference. It's asking for inducing voltage drop. You really want one for one. Come in with your 10 gauge wire, come out. Go through the fuse, come out of that to your unit.
Okay. All right.
What's you got to get down.
Greg's head spinning.
It is because I don't like this.
Do we need to take a fiber?
All right. So what's that fuse box called? An in-out.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know what you would call it. Let's talk about something. Let me look one up. I'll give you a name of one that I usually use. Let me find it.
Okay, because if I Google in-out, I guarantee you I'm going to find a lot of stuff.
You're going to find something you don't want to find, probably.
Oh, I want to find it.
Maybe you do want to find it. But...
Oh, I want to find it. Are you kidding me?
Well, he's on a MacBook.
Bookmark.
Yeah, so, the type of fuse panel that I'm talking about, I think Blue Seas makes it. Let me pull up some of the Blue Seas fuse panels and see if... No, those are tapped off the main.
What do you have?
What I'm saying is that when you look at a fuse block, there's two different types. One will have a hot lug and a ground lug, and then all your fuses come off of those two buses. All of your fuses comes off the positive bus, and then all your negatives are just landed together. That's not the kind that I want to see for electronics installs. That's fine to run your bilge pumps and, everything else in your boat off of. They work great. That's what I got mine run off of. But for your units themselves, you need the type of fuse block where your fuses run down the middle, and then on the left side, you feed in your power wires from your battery. And then on the right-hand side, coming out of that fuse, is where you run the wires going to your units. So each unit can have its own feed, and they're not sharing a power feed.
Okay.
Ideally, that's the ideal situation. Now, if you're going to be running 6 feet like you are, or if you're going to be running 6 feet like you are, that's what I would do. If you're going to be running a central fuse box, and then you're running a long ways to all your other units. Like, let's just say, take my bass boat, for example, okay? I've got one wire ran from my battery to a fuse panel. And then from that fuse panel, I've got 10 gauge wire running to each one of my units and my black boxes. That's okay, because you've got a massive wire, very little voltage drop, and it's only ran 6 inches or 10 inches from the battery. And then all your feeds are coming off and going somewhere else. So that's fine. But if you're only running a 10-gauge in to a fuse panel and then running your black boxes and all your units off that single 10-gauge feed, that's not near enough.
Well, see, why don't I don't know. I'm just.
I've got a lot of like questions that I am having trouble verbalizing as well. Like, is there like a rule of thumb as far as like gauge of wire and distance to unit? I mean, you always hear that with like extension cords too, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, there is, but what it doesn't come down. So let's just use extension cords for example. Extension cords, the reason you have size limitations is because of the amp draws of what you're putting on it. You don't want that extension cord getting hot or, burning up, shorting out internally, melting down the insulation. That's not what we're talking about here. You could run these units on an 18-gauge wire. It's not going to overheat. They're not pulling high power. Mm-hmm. That's not the concern. The concern is the voltage drop. So the more load that is on a wire for its given size, the more the voltage will drop as it travels across that wire. So you want to run big, fat, thick wire so that your voltage is the same, essentially, within 2% on both ends of that wire. I don't want to see 13.2 at your battery and then go to the unit and see 12.5 or something.
Sure.
That's a full volt you just lost across that span. That's what we're trying to avoid. It's the same idea, but you're talking for two different reasons is why your size goes up. So there's not any hard and fast rule, but I can give you some examples of like typically this is where you want to be. A black box for any of your live scope systems, number 10 gauge wire. Every time, whether you're running at 6 inches or 20 feet, run 10 gauge wire to it. The more voltage you can get to that black box, the better your image quality is going to be for that live scope system. If you can run it on a 16 volt battery, a 20 volt battery, you're going to get better image quality. So you want to be as high voltage as possible. So no matter what, run 10 gauge wire to that thing. If you're running a 12 volt battery system. Now, if you're going to run like say an HDS 12, for example, if you're going 6, 8, 10 feet, something like that, 12 gauge wire will give you a low voltage drop where you want to be. If you're going to run it from the back of your boat all the way to the front and put that unit on the bow, run 10 gauge wire. That's kind of a reference point to follow. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not a hard and fast rule, but that generally speaking is about where you want to be.
Greg, you told me there would be no math involved on this.
I'm super confused right now.
It's all math. No, it's not confusing. What are you confused on, Greg? It's not confusing. It's pretty straightforward.
Because do people at the marinas know this?
Most of them know.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. I mean, when you buy your boat and you get it rigged, I mean, the guy that put my windshield off on my boat, his name was Poodle. Trust me.
Yeah.
Poodle did not know. Poodle had never put a windshield on before, but he was really excited.
You know what the problem is? The problem is there's too many people that will look you in the eye confidently and tell you they know what they're doing, but they really don't know everything.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. I don't, not to talk bad about any major, big box stores.
I will.
Or marinas, but that's just the fact of the matter. I've done more reworks on boats than I've done fresh installs. And that's the God's honest truth. They just, most of these companies don't put that kind of thought into it, and they roll them out every day. And you see tons of people that's, man, the battery's dead halfway through the day, or why does active target look fantastic at 8 a.m., but by 2 o'clock it's just, everything's hazy, or my side imaging ain't good, things are going in and out, my unit shuts down when I try to start my engine.
Oh, I do that all the time. I've done that a lot.
See, there you go.
So, you're saying you get bad images. I mean, I don't know if I have a good image. How do you know? I mean,
let's just assume yours is a little foggy by the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
When you look at it every day, if you had it good, if we need to get together, Greg. Now, I need to do with you like I've done Tony, and well, getting ready to do it. Jimmy just did a bunch of install stuff for him, but we need to just get together, get on the water, and I can tell you if it's bad or good, and we can tweak on settings, and we can get you where you need to go, and then you'll know if it degrades over the course of a day. You spend enough time on the water, you're going to go, man, I'm losing it, or no, I'm not. I'm holding up good. But look at that power or that voltage on your unit. That's going to tell you a lot. If you're seeing,
it's going from.
11.5,
let me tell you, I'm going from. Not to interrupt. I'm going from 12.5 in the morning till at 5 o'clock right now. So 9 to 5, 9 to 6. It's about 11.8.
Okay, that's reasonable.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Higher the voltage, the better. 12.8, you're functional still. If you're not specifically, that's what I said. That's what I meant. Sorry, 11.8. If you're not specifically looking for a difference in image quality, you're not going to see it between those two. You're not losing enough to matter.
Okay, I did find out my side scan will work at 8.5 this summer.
I find that very hard to believe.
Me too.
Was you just seeing like patches of yellow on the sides? Is there any detail to it?
Yeah, I never noticed the difference. But that's like I said, I don't know if mine's good or not.
I don't know. You might not ever have a good image.
Maybe. I don't know.
A lot of your units are going to shut themselves off at
Well, that's normally what they do. But
yeah.
she kept it ticking. I was shocked.
Very shocked.
I had a guy, an engineer, in the boat with me, and he was shocked too.
Yeah. That low voltage cutoff should have been, I think, lower. What model unit was that?
HD Helix Gen 4, Helix 12 Gen 4.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look what the low power shutoff is on that.
I'm still trying to find these in and outs. I'm getting all kinds of stuff on here.
Yeah, your intermittent issue. We're gonna have to try to get that nailed down. Typically, so for everybody listening that hasn't seen the pictures or anything, when you have intermittent side imaging, it can manifest itself in multiple different ways. If you're getting intermittent conditions that is a result of noise, whether it be on the power side or the signal side or interference from the transducer, typically you're going to see hot spots and cold spots. So you'll have areas that are brighter and you'll have areas that are dimmer. And there'll be a line between them. It's like it's a fast switch it's going to do between the two. It's not what Greg is seeing. Greg is seeing one side, so
it's always the right side
on and looking good, and then the right side shuts off just like a light switch and then comes right back. So he ends up with these black bars on the right-hand side. Typically when that happens, you have your transducer cable, so the wire coming from your transducer up to your unit. There's multiple wires in that. Some are from power, some are for the different receivers, etc. You'll have one of the wires damaged in that cable and causing an intermittent condition. Or you'll have a crystal in the transducer itself that is damaged, but just that one specific crystal. So Greg swapped out the transducer, which is transducer, cable, everything.
Which is really cheap.
Fine. Yeah,
really
right.
cheap. They give those away. I got it.
Absolutely, they're just.
I got it in a claw machine at Mr. Gaddy's. It was great.
And the unit worked perfectly fine for a while, and then immediately started doing it again.
24 hours.
So a lot of times when that happens, it's gonna be fixed by the transducer because you're replacing the cable and you're replacing that transducer. In this instance, it didn't fix it. So what I don't know what's going to fix it yet. We're still in the let's figure this out stage of this one. But what I would lean towards is a bad terminal on the transducer connector of the unit itself. Mm-hmm. So something that we had discussed earlier was, cleaning the connector with contact cleaner, really good, cleaning it out a lot. And if you're not disconnecting and reconnecting your units every day, so you don't take your units in and out of the boat every single day, you're leaving them in the boat with the cables connected, make sure you put a good dose of dielectric grease inside those connectors to keep corrosion down, keep water out, things like that. The pins, the female side of the pins, the male side of the pins on the unit, when you're looking at them, they're gold plated. And if you start seeing black discoloration on that gold, then you've had corrosion or some sort of water intrusion that's got in there and caused that gold to kind of start oxidizing. The reason they're plated is to keep that from happening, but they can still do it. That black, you got to be really careful when you're cleaning the pins. The first step is contact cleaner. Try to clean it with contact cleaner if you can without physically cleaning them with something abrasive, because when you get in there with something abrasive, you're actually rubbing off that gold. And if you go too deep, you're exposing bare copper, and it's going to corrode really fast. So if contact cleaner doesn't fix it, then you can get in there and be a little bit more aggressive and kind of work your way up. Different rouges or compounds, like for polishing aluminum, you can put on like a pipe cleaner and try to get in there and try to buff them up. If you don't have something like that, honestly, toothpaste. No crazy whitening toothpaste, or it can get too aggressive and actually react with the gold and cause problems. But like a basic just paste toothpaste, it has like a little bit of abrasive to it that'll help clean the pins up, things like that. But let's look at it, Greg. Send me some pictures of that connector, and let's go from there.
That contact cleaner you're talking about, is that just a spray? You just spray it in there?
Yeah,
and
it's just an aerosol. Yep.
Then
it's an aerosol, and it dries really fast without leaving like contaminants.
Okay, so you can just spray it in there, but you don't have to like wipe it out or try to stick a fork in there or anything like that.
Yeah, try to keep forks out of it.
That could be the issue.
And unplug everything before you do this.
Yeah, because I've got dielectric grease. I keep that stuff around, which I'm surprised that I do, but I do have it.
Yeah, that's really good. If you've got dielectric grease in that connector, make sure you try to flush all of that out first. Alcohol kind of helps, like a 90% alcohol, rubbing alcohol. You can kind of break it down and get it out of there with that. And just if you're using alcohol, try not to like squirt it straight into that connector. If you have to, turn the unit up where the pins are facing down and squirt the alcohol up into it where it'll run out, and not try to intrude beyond the pins and get in and pull up, right?
So I've been using a little bit of alcohol tonight, so maybe this is a dumb question, but I heard you reference whitening toothpaste as crazy. Is that is that frowned upon in Kentucky? Because
Yes, we don't sell that down there.
I'm using whitening toothpaste. I don't know if it's helping or not. I'm a little embarrassed to smile now.
See?
Well, most of your whitening toothpaste has hydrogen peroxide and other agents used for whitening, and it's going to react faster with your pins and your terminals when you're trying to clean them. So it's easy to go overboard and strip your gold plating off.
So Greg, you just can't stump this guy, can you?
Don't use it on your grill. That's exactly right.
Don't use it on your grill.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, Cody, I tell you what, I've literally talked to you too much because now my head hurts, and I'm really confused, and I'm trying to find in and out.
I feel like we always end this podcast like that. We need to get to some conclusions on this stuff.
Well, and I have another question that I'll just text you later. I ain't even bringing it up on here because it's even the people. I had somebody look at it and they said they've never seen this happen before. So
that seems to be pretty common with your boat.
Oh, my boat sucks. I hate all boats, all electronics, all anything to do with that kind of stuff. I've never met a boat or electronics that I've liked.
So
Well, we need to get yours dialed in. But,
they might even be dialed in. That's the problem. I don't know, because the more you talk, the more I'm thinking it has me second guessing. That's what I'm at.
Well, don't do that. The worst thing you can do is lose confidence in a unit. Just pretend like it's perfect unless I tell you otherwise.
Have you ever seen a unit? Have you ever seen the backlight go out of the units?
Absolutely.
I think that's what I got going on, because I got one that will not. I mean, it's in the sunlight. I have to almost put my hand over it to read it.
Yeah, you probably lost your backlight. It's more common than you think. Is it a is it a Humminbird or
it's an
H?
Yeah. It's a Gen 3 Helix.
Oh, Gen 3 Helix Humminbird. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know on those a way to repair those. I lost a backlight in an HDS earlier this year, and honestly, I did not take the time to even take it apart and fix it myself. I sent it back to them, and Lawrence repaired it. It was like $250. Sent it back to me. So you might try that with Humminbird. But there is a connector on the board of the Lawrence unit for everybody listening. If you lose your backlight and you can't get them to repair it, they don't want to repair it or whatnot. I don't recommend taking your unit apart, but if you are electrically inclined in the least bit,
not me,
and handy with a soldering iron, you can actually go in there and resolder that connector back to the board and fix your backlighting issue. It's a pretty common
soldering iron.
No, he had me at soldering iron. This sounds like something I could do.
Go, give me a blowtorch.
I could do this. Are you kidding me? I can do this. Oh my God. I could imagine what I could screw up.
Well, I tell you what, Cody.
Moral of the story: they are fixable. Losing a blacklight's not the end of the world. Your unit's not dead.
No. And it still works. Everything works. It's just hard to see, and it's only hard to see when it's sunny. So it's my cloudy day unit.
Back up all your waypoints. Get them saved on an SD card, and then call Humminbird. See if they'll repair it. If they won't, then you might be able to find somebody else to repair it.
Yeah, I don't know. I sent it to a place up here actually, and they looked at it and said that they don't know how to fix it, and they send it to they said you'll probably have to send it to Humminbird. Maybe they've got a fix for it.
Yeah, that'd be more help if it was a Lowrance. I know a little bit more about the internals on them, but see if Humminbird will fix it. They probably will. Like I said, Lowrance repaired one for me for like $250 with a.
Well, a lot of times. I mean, I've actually had Humminbird when I sent them a Gen 2 one time to get fixed, and they sent me a Gen 3. They just said, no. Ryan, are you drinking? Someone's really loud.
I just opened the door.
Oh.
But I am drinking, yeah. I mean, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is, all right, Cody, I've had you on here for too long. It's you've got to go. Where are you going tomorrow? You're going hunting?
Yeah, well, tomorrow evening or Saturday, I'm going to be heading to the eastern side of the state. I'm doing an archery black bear hunt this weekend.
Oh, cool. Where at?
We're going to be at Cumberland Falls area hunting. Was it Whitley County? I think there's 4 days of archery season open in Whitley County, 2 days in McCreary. So we're going to be kind of right on the border between the two of them.
Yeah. No. Well, that'd be cool. That's a neat area down there.
Yeah, I love that area. This will be my first experience bow hunting for a bear, but we'll see how it goes.
There you
We might do another podcast if I don't get mauled by a bear this weekend.
Just remember there ain't no communist in Whitley County. I was told that one time. I don't know why, but I was told that by a guy one time.
I can guarantee you it probably ain't.
No. All right, Cody, how can somebody get a hold of you? Because, I mean, you clearly know more about this stuff and know how to get this stuff going. We definitely got to get together. Because here's the deal. When you take off, actually now you can actually have to unscrew it, because before my back hatches the screws never even held. You just lifted them up and they just came out. But when you look in my back, when I open it up, I want to vomit, because there's just wires everywhere.
Oh, so you're going to give me seizures if I see it then, because I am extremely OCD about my wiring.
Oh, I'm not. There's wires there. I guarantee you, I've got batteries with wires hooked to them that go nowhere. I will promise you, I've got batteries. If you start pulling,
and it doesn't bother Greg in the least.
No, I'm perfectly okay with it.
I'm so bad about this that this past winter, I ripped every bit of wiring, all the factory wiring out of my boat from the stern all the way to the bow, took every switch, every wire, everything, gutted the entire boat, built a new wiring harness, built a new switch panel, and ran everything exactly the way I wanted it from the ground up. I could not stand the way it was from the factory.
I would still be just sitting there crying in a ball of wire because there would be nothing I could do. Right now, I can't even work my my instrument panel in the back. If you hit my horn, it won't go off. I have to pull the fuse. And my bilge pumps won't even come on. My live wells, they work. The way I turn my live well on is put the fuse in.
Have you ever thought it may be time for a new boat, Greg?
When I turn it on, no, I'm not. Not the prices of these boats these days. Jesus.
Ain't that the truth?
I ain't doing that. No, that's fine. I just think I need a new keypad from Ranger, which that should be horrible. I called the lady from Ranger. I called Ranger the other day, and they said, "Well, we don't sell direct anymore. You have to buy through a dealer." Does that sound right?
I bet that's got a pretty price tag attached to it.
I don't know. It's Ranger. They're horrible people. But I think all boat companies are. Mainly if I own it. It can't be that great. All right, Cody, give me your let's how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to get their boat running good and everything?
Call or text 502-797-7451. I've got an email also. You can put that on your site if you want. Or I think you did before. It's probably there. Somebody can find it. You just Google Greenwell Electronics or Cody Greenwell Marine or whatever. You can find it. It's out there. But it's firecracker50@gmail.com. Firecracker is spelled with a K. FIREKRACKER50@gmail.com.
Where did the firecracker come from?
Man, it's a nickname from childhood. I used to love blowing stuff up when I was a kid. I still
nice.
Greg loves blowing up electronics.
I do too. Yeah, I could be Big Boom 64 at Hotmail. That'd be about mine. But all right, well,
hummingbird.don'twork.com. That's what you need.
Exactly. Oh, well, Cody, hey, thanks for coming on here. Good luck bear hunting. I hope you get a big one or a black one, and yeah, that'll I'll be talking to you, I'm sure.
All right, man. Send me that other question and stuff. We'll talk about it.
All right, buddy.
You want to get back together again and do another one of these and talk more about, dive a little deeper down that battery rabbit hole. We can do that too. I think there's a lot of questions out there right now. And
no, let's do that. Let's maybe like in December or something in the wintertime when people are thinking about getting new stuff before the sports shows and everything.
Yeah, that'd be a good time to do it for sure. Yeah.
So, all right, buddy. I appreciate it.
Sounds good.
All right. See ya.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
See you. Bye.
Take care.